At level 41, I still haven't completed Punisher Part 6, where you need to hand in 7 of each faction's dog tags, and the main attraction is to get 15 PMC kills using an SVD, which is kind of sad at this point. But to be fair, I just don't feel like spending 90k on the gun every time I die. It adds up really fast. But whenever I do get my hands on one, I have a very specific way of modding it so that it has surprisingly good ergonomics. Because before, the SVD for a long time was notorious for having horrendous ergo when paired with its suppressor. And this isn't the only gun with this kind of problem. One thing about Tarkov that we all appreciate is whenever they decide to add new weapons to the game for us to mess around with. A lot of great additions have made it into this game. However, sometimes these new guns are lacking in what they're able to be kitted out with. The UMP, for example, for the longest time didn't have a suppressor and was essentially considered a meme gun. But when they finally added one, it has risen to one of the best guns in the game when paired with its good ammo. And now a personal request for me is for the newer Benelli shotgun, a new handguard for both foregrips and more importantly, flashlights and lasers. I truly believe that if we ever get that, the Benelli will be the best shotgun in the game. But until then, it's, great, but marred by that one stipulation. G36 is similar, but I think that it has enough of its own attachments between all the different variations that, it's okay. And the SVD was in a similar situation as well, but that has since changed. Granted, ergo across all weapons and attachments was very different back in the day, and a fully kitted SVD back in the day would sit at around 39 ergo with all the parts on it. Now, you'd be lucky if you hit double digits without changing the stock. But if you do, not only does the gun feel good to use and is actually really viable and strong, but it looks much cooler as well in general. In the most recent wipe, or the wipe before last, they added a little adapter to the SVD that allows the buttstock to be changed and fitted with all other buffer tubes and available stocks in the game. This was essentially a game changer for the gun. Now, ergonomics is drastically less of a concern because you can make it have solid ergo. I mean, without the suppressor it's already pretty high, but even with it attached it still feels really good to use. Sure, it might not be the prettiest setup that I have, and to be fair, if I wasn't using it for a task, I might change how it looks to be a little more cooler, but in terms of retaining ergo and being fairly cheap, I don't have any qualms with this setup. If you do decide to run an SVD for whatever reason and are looking to use it suppressed and want as much ergo as possible, here are a few things that you can do to it. Once you have an SVD, the primary thing to do is to change the stock, which can be done by attaching the SVDS Lynx Arms Hinge Buffer Tube Adapter from Jaeger Level 2. This piece allows you to swap out the OG stock for any kind of buffer tube stock combo you want. And for the purposes of what we're aiming to do, which is have the highest ergo possible on this gun, we're going to be using the Strike Industries Viper PDW stock, which on its own, alone, gives you a massive 21 ergo boost to the weapon. To my knowledge, is the largest ergo boost out of all the stocks that can be fitted to the SVD. This one attachment makes this gun so much more viable. Again, it might not be the prettiest or make the most sense visually, but if you want to focus strictly on stats, this is the way to do it. You can, of course, take it to the next level and add all the extra SVD parts that you want to fully customize the gun and take it all the way. But if you want a cheap way to add a ton of ergo for not that many rubles, this tiny little piece for this gun does it in spades. The SVD is a fun-ass gun to use from time to time. Again, the primary reason I feel as though we don't see it more often is the steep 90k commitment to the gun when you go to buy one. Sure, you can get it off the flea for around 50 to 60,000, but the durability creates problems, and the last thing you want to have happen is either a jam or a malfunction of any kind when you're spraying that gun like your life depends on it. It's a great gun to use, even if you've already completed Punisher or have no desire to do so. I'd say the SVD has been around in Tarkov long enough to be considered like a legendary gun, alongside the RSAS and the ASVAL, just for their duration in the game and how powerful they can be in the right hands. Expensive for sure, but really fun to use, and for a while was a rare sight out in the world of Tarkov. Oh, and the Taz too, we can't forget about that. The Taz is just the best gun in the game. Nikita, you gotta nerf that gun, please, like it's insane. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope to see you in future ones.